طبعا هجيب c بيساوي a square minus b square. It's gonna be 6. 6 equal to a dot e. Since a is equal to 10 يبقى e بيساوي 0.6 if I want to get the eccentricity. And of course this ellipse, the ellipse that I'm talking about, it's actually flattered more on the x-axis than on the y-axis. That's the shape of your ellipse. Also, if you have an equation like this one, can you put it on the normal form, identifying the center, the radius, the eccentricity, and you can graph it if you have an equation like this? How to put it on the normal form?
حاسس يا دكتور ان كده حضرتك عديت الحته اللي اخدتها.
حتتين. Enjoy the ride بس. طيب افتيني بقى.
انا
بقول عدينا الحته اللي احنا اخدناها.
ها
هنودي ال 160 الناحيه الثانيه.
الوان مين؟
16 تاخد كومنت.
ماشي ما نقدر اوديها.
هنوديها الناحيه الثانيه.
ايوه.
بعد كده تعمل
ايوه.
completing square.
ولا اروع beautifully said. انا كل اللي انا هعمله I will try to do a completing square. على فكره الحركه بتاعت completing square دي انا هعملها كتير جدا، فمحتاج انك تعملها كده. يبقى بعمل completing square، بس هنا طبعا هعمل completing square in the x direction وهعمل completing square in the y mean direction. طب ليه؟ عشان اوصل ل x minus alpha to the power of 2 divided by certain number، فاقدر ان انا اوصل للشيء. انا I will do it as fast as possible، بس من فضلك ما تشتغلش بحاجه ثانيه خلاف انك باصص معايا. I have 9x squared minus 18x. I will rearrange it. I will take 9 as a common first from x squared minus 2x. I will take 25 as a common from the other part. Then I will try to open a bracket which contains x minus 1 to the power of 2, then negative 1. This is how to do the completing square. And also في اي مشكله حد عنده في الكومبليتنج سكوير؟ مفهومه يعني كده فاهمها انت؟ حلو. ده كومبليتنج سكوير ان واي دايركشن. يا ندى انت بتعرف تعمل كومبليتنج سكوير كده مظبوط؟ لو انا عايز اعمل كومبليتنج سكوير ما تلعبيش بقى بصوابعك. بصي ادي 9 open a bracket اهو فاتن. From x square I will try to open a bracket to the power of 2. From x square I will take x. I will divide this number by 2, which is negative 1. Then I will try to expand it. Tani, once more. From x square, just only x. This value will divide on 2, which is going to be negative 1. The first square, x square. First, second times 2, negative 2x. Then the last square is going to be positive 1. Then simply, I will add negative 1. Now I did a completing square in x direction. I will do exactly the same in y. تعالي اعمليه كده ان واي معايا. بصي على الواي، هاخد الاول ال 25 اهي. بصي خدت ال 25 from y square just only y. This value which is 4 divided 2 بقت ب 2. The first square y square, first second times 2 4y. The last square is positive 4. This is why I added negative 4. Then I will try to re-expand it and they take the numbers to the other side. So if I did so, all I have to do is to gather the negative 116 minus 9 minus 100, gather all of these numbers all together and move them to the other side. This is how they are added up to be 225. Move them to the other side, which is going to be positive 225. Then divide on both of them. This is actually the equation that you will have. So if I look to this equation, nada. The center will be the last equation. The center will be 1 and the negative 2. يبقى the center will be 1 and the negative 2. خلي بالك عكس الارقام اللي موجوده. يبقى اذا بدل ما دي negative 1, so the center will be positive 1 and negative 2. The semi-major x 5, semi-minor x 3. If I used the relation a dot e equal to the square root of a square minus b square, I will be able to get the e. Once you have e and you have a and b, you will be able to construct your ellipse. Okay? Okay, I'm not going to lose time in this part because I remarked that you're already familiar with, so I will start to move to the next part.
دكتور عمر.
طيران. طبعا دي الايكويشن. انا عندي السنتر، عندي A، عندي B. Okay, that's the relation connecting them. From it, I have the E equal to 0.8. Now I can draw, these are all the distances, the required distances. From these distances, I can simply drive. بص الحركة دي. بص. خلي بالك. بص. شايف؟ خطير، تعجبني الحركة دي. طبعا ده السنتر، بص يا ندى، ده السنتر 0 0. مشيت هنا 1 ونزلت نيجاتيف 2. That's the new center, the moving center. This is A and E from where I can get the two foci. This is from the center A, which I have the vertices on the X direction and Y direction and so on. So that's a complete shape of this equation. Also, I can find the tangent of an ellipse if I want to, which is equal to y equal mx plus c. That's the equation of a line tangent an ellipse. طيب, if I want to get this line to touch a certain ellipse, it has to satisfy a certain condition. That the constant or the y-intercept must equal to the square root of a square m square plus b square. And that's the point of contact. So C, for the ellipse equation, the properties, the dimensions, each place on the ellipse, it's already calculated. I can find it, I can reach it in precise. Also, I can find the equation of a tangent at any point. And also, I can find the points of contact. If something that needed from this part, you will be able, Fatin, to reach it in this PDF. Are you with me? Okay. Now I will move to the next part. This is an equation, just a quick training of how can we find a tangent for the given ellipse. It's very simple. All I have to do is to find the value of C satisfying the root of a square m square plus b square under square root, and this will be very easy. The m is equal to -2. The a square b square, I will get them from this equation by defining. So a is equal to 4, b is equal to 3. Now I am ready to get the constant or the condition for tangency, and I can find the point of contact this value. Okay, خلاص عرفتها وعرفت البوينت اوف كونتاكت، مش اي مشكله whatsoever. طيب لو انا بتكلم على السيركل، what's the difference between the circle and the ellipse? The difference between the circle and the ellipse has two radius, okay? طيب, for the circle it has just only one circle, so the main equation is x squared plus y squared equal to a squared, which is the radius. If the center is not 0 0, then it will be x minus h to the power of 2, y minus k to the power of 2, and it's equal to r squared, as you can see. That's the radius of your circle. So also I will need circles down the road, either in identifying a contour or reviewing something. In a general, that's the equation as I told you. I don't think we have questions in this part. Okay? Okay, حلو قوي التحليل كده. دلوقتي I will go to a hyperbola. What's the hyperbola once more? It's the intersection of a vertical plane with a conical shape, and it will cut it in two ways. So it's like cutting a hyperbola vertically or something like this. This is the shape of a hyperbola. By the idea, from the definition of a moving point, the eccentricity is greater than 1 in a hyperbola. And that's BF by BD is equal to E, and the E is greater than +1, okay? Okay, very good. That's the shape of a hyperbola. By the idea, the ellipse and the hyperbola, they are really very close to each other. They are connected and very close to each other. They have almost the same equations, but with a slight difference, ya Farid. Difference in sign, even in the equation. طيب, do you remember what's the equation of a hyperbola? You already told me that you have this before. X squared over a squared, huh? minus y squared over b squared equal to كام؟
1.
to 1. If it was positive, it's an ellipse. It was negative, so it's a hyperbola. In order to draw a hyperbola, you will have to have your A, your B, and the E. And for all hyperbolas, E must be greater than 1. You will find all the relations with you, so there is no problem whatsoever. The application, even for the straight line tangent to a hyperbola, it's similar to that one tangent to an ellipse. The only difference is just a minor negative sign instead of having your positive sign. By the idea, لو سمحتوا مش عايز حد ماسك حاجه في ايديه زي برسم هايبربولا زي بالظبط برسم هايبربولا. اوكي اهدى بقى. بص انا عارف انك تخرج من المحاضره دي بتعمل حاجات كتيره جدا. طبعا ده لا معلش ثانيه واحده، ده متعوب فيه والله. اوكي طبعا ده الاكس اكسس،
الحركه اللي بفلوس
ده بجديد جدا، ده الاكس اكسس. اوكي طبعا ده المين اكس، ده الواي اكسس which is the minor x. اول ستارت this is the equation of the hyperbola. يا ندى فاتن طول المحاضره في الفيديو هيبقى طالع انا بقول يا ندى يا فاتن يا ندى يا فاتن.
بطلي كلام بقى.
ازاي انا غلطانه؟ بقول لها لازم نذاكر من السلايد.
التربو النهارده احنا نرجع لايام المسطره اللي في ايد الدكتور بقى وكده.
على فكره فضيحه. شفت اللي بتطلع في الفيديو صوتها
اوكي
بس الشقه ازاي؟
هنقلب
اه والله العظيم
هنقلب
بكله.
هنقلب.
خلاص بقى ركزوا معايا ماشي. بصي لان الحته دي محتاجه انك تفهميها كويس. طيب انا عايز ارسم هايبربولا بالظبط، ارسمه ازاي؟ هاخد الاي سكوير، اخد لها سكوير روت، هروح اخد A to the right. بص اروح اخد A to the right و A to the left واطلع B فوق و B تحت اهو. بص اول حاجه هرسم ستريت لاين، ده طبعا يساعدني بس على ديستانس B فوق واخوه تحت. بعدين هرسم ستريت لاين to the left وستريت لاين to the right، بدو a rectangle. جنى الديستانس فروم ذا سنتر لغايه هنا ده الاي سمول، ده نص القطر الايه الاكبر. يعني اذا من هنا لهنا اي سمول، من هنا لهنا بي سمول. اوكي رسمت ريكتانجل. بعد كده بعمل ايه؟ بوصل الدايجونالز، كونكت ذا دايجونالز بوث توجذر. شايف ادي الدايجونالز بتوعي. طيب الهايبربولا بتاعي هيمشي ازاي؟ بيجي انا السمبتوت parallel to these lines and then it will be a vertical asymptote at point A, then an asymptote at the infinity for the other wing. So these are the two wings. طبعا دي distances بتاعت الفوكس بتاعت الدايركتريكس and so on. ده الشكل العام اهو، ده الدايركتريكس لان الدايركتريكسز بتاعت الهايبربولا بتبقى انسايد، وده الشكل بتاع الهايبربولا بتاعك اهو. ده البي اف على البي دي. فاكرين لما كنت بقول الاي اللي هي الاكسنترستي اللي هي بي اف على بي دي، ده شكلها هنا. لو انا بتعامل مع الدايركتريكس البعيد بروح للفوكس البعيد، لو بتعامل مع الفوكس القريب بروح للدايركتريكس القريب. ده الشكل بتاع الهايبربولا. بصوا ده شكل الهايبربولا. على فكره نسيت اقول لك، لاي هايبربولا for any hyperbola you have a conjugate another hyperbola which is the conjugate one. The conjugate one will be on the other dimension which has the exact same equation, but instead of having positive one, yes, it's negative one. That's the conjugate hyperbola as you can see. So this is exactly how to draw it. Once more, I will start with x-axis and the y-axis. Then I will put the distances, drawing two horizontal lines at the distance of v, then two vertical lines at distances a, then drawing the asymptotes, which is actually y equal to b over a in x. You will find the equations appearing here just shortly. Here we go. That's the equation. Y equal to a over b times y. In the other direction you will have the exact same equation but with negative sign. Then you will be able to define the shape of your hyperbola as you saw. The shape of a hyperbola actually affects plenty of things. That's the cooling powers of certain nuclear power plant. It was taking the shape of a hyperbola, as you can see. Also the ripples of water, if you try to draw two stones at the same time on water or in a lake or a pool, something like this, the intersection of the points of the circles around each one of them, they will form also a shape of a hyperbola. So we can use the shape of a hyperbola also in strengthening the waves, the various types of waves if we want to strengthen the signal or something like this. Okay, that's the standard question, the classical one. This is an equation of a quadratic surface. I want to find if it is a hyperbola and put it on the general form and the graph it and everything. I can do that simply. Exactly like Jana said, I will rearrange this equation and then I will do completing square on x and on y. The difference, the sign here is negative, but in ellipse the sign is positive. Now I can find the equation exactly like x minus 1 over 25, y plus 2 over 16. That means the semi-major axis is 5, semi-minor axis is 4. From them I can get E if I want to. This is 1 and negative 2, which is the center of the hyperbola. Those are the coordinates, the various coordinates. So I can simply now try once more to graph it, but in specific this time I have the dimensions, everything I have, so I can redraw but with the dimensions as you can see. This is what's all about a hyperbola equation in depth. How to have it, how to graph it, how to do everything related to it. That's a shape of a hyperbola. Also the tangent equation, y equal mx plus c. The c is the condition for tangency, which is a squared m squared minus b squared. In ellipse it is plus b squared, okay? So it's exactly the same equation. بص كده معايا ندى, instead of plus b squared minus b squared. And the point of tangency in the ellipse, it's negative a squared m divided by the constant b squared over c, but here it's negative b squared over c, so it's just only a minor difference, which is the sign. So it's exactly the same. The parabola also is constructed, although its applications are huge. The parabola, which is the third conic section. In the third conic section, you will have E equal to 1. So in ellipses, E is less than 1. In hyperbolas, E is greater than 1. In parabolas, E is equal to 1. E is the eccentricity. What's the eccentricity again?
E.
BF divided by BD, and it is equal to 1 as you see. BF BD is equal to 1. Of course, that's the focus, that's the vertex, that's the directrix. Also, this part, the vertical chord that's passing by the focus, it's called the focal chord. Sometimes they call it the lotus spectrum. Sometimes they call it the lotus spectrum, which is for A. Yes, lotus spectrum. Okay, which is for A. That's the equation of a parabola, which is symmetric about the x with no, which is not square. That's how to draw it in general. So in this case, I will have it x equal to y squared for the equation. Y squared equal 4b of x. It will be squared around the x-axis. This is the shape of a parabola in a similar manner. That's the parabola that I'm talking about. It's symmetric about the x-axis. If I have x squared y, it will be symmetric about the y-axis like this guy. So this equation, you will find y equal to some value in x squared. That's the equation. As you can see, x squared equal 4 of ay. I can identify the a or the p, which is the difference between the focus and the vertex slightly. In graphing parabolas, the symmetry is really very important. So that's the shape of parabola symmetric about the x-axis. That's the shape of a parabola symmetric about the y-axis. Those are the difference equations. As you can see also, I will need completing square scales in order to reach the general equation of a parabola, either in the x or in the y direction. Those four shapes represent the various cases of a parabola. If it is symmetric about the y-axis and looking upward, or symmetric about the y-axis and looking downward in the x direction, in the positive direction or on the negative direction. And this table summarizes the focuses, the vertices, the focuses, the directrices, and the general equation. All of this you will have. Okay, any questions? No. Okay, very good. To our main slides. بص بقى our main slides لو سمحت سيب خلاص. انت دلوقتي اتمنى انك خدت شويه معلومات كويسين جدا عن الاليبس والبارابولا والهايبرابولا والستريت لاين والكوردينتس وكده. بص بقى هما مقدورين لك ازاي؟ خلي بالك هما محطوطين لان هو عارف ان انت عندك خلفيه عنهم من هاي سكول طبعا. ماشي؟
مين ده؟
Okay. Conics are curves in R2 described by a second degree equation x and y. You already now familiar with the equation, which is a number in x squared, number in y squared, number in xy, number in x, number in y, and number. Okay. It's in graphs are circles, ellipses, parabolas, and hyperbolas. That's an equation of a circle with the center. Now you are familiar with everything here in this slide. That's an equation of an ellipse, which is x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equal to 1. طبعا مظبوط مسندة الاليبس اللي قدامي ده لان الاي سيمي ميجور اكس هيبقى مبعجر على الواي اكس، لان زي ما انت شايف السيمي ميجور اكس تحت الواي، فالاي والبي بيكنترول هو مبعجر على مين اكتر، فاهمني؟ طيب طبعا لان الاي سيمي ميجور فهو اليمين، لو كانت الاي اندر اكس سكوير كان الاليبس هيبقى شكله في الاذر دايركشن. اوكي؟ طيب that's an equation, an ellipse in the other direction. As you can see, this is the semi-major axis. The main major axis is 2a, the main minor axis is 2b, and you have c square, which is a square minus b square. بص شايف حاجه صغيره كده بتجري كده في السكه. طبعا انت عارف ان c square is the difference between the two radii, which is a times e, from where I can get the eccentricity if I want to, from the previous slides. Okay, that's the equation of a hyperbola. طبعا حطيت لك صاروخ لان طبعا انت فاهم يعني. اوكي؟ طبعا هنا طبعا دي الشكل بتاع الهايبربولا. If you remark all the details on hyperbola. خلاص ما انا ما دام اديتها لك كده انت خلاص انت استاذ يعني في الهايبربولا طبعا. لان زي ما انت شايف this is y equal to b over a over x. ده الاسمبتود to the right. ده الاسمبتود to the left y equal to negative b over a. على فكره الاسمبتودز دول انا بجيبهم من الايكويشن. بص كده الحركه دي يا جماعه. لو انا عندي x سكوير over 9 minus y سكوير over 4 equal 1. عارف ازاي اقدر اجيب الاسمبتودز equations؟ It's very simple. Instead of having this equal to 1, make it equal to 0. Factorize it. Factorize this equation. It's going to be x over 3, x over 3, this is y over 2, that's y over 2 equal to 0. This is plus, this is minus. So you will have y equal to 2 over 3 over x. You will have y equal to negative 2 over 3 over x. That's an asymptote and that's the other asymptote. Okay? This is how to get your asymptotes. As you can see, it's really very simple. I can get them very easily, as you can see. So that's the equation of a hyperbola. Now I have the circle, the ellipse, the hyperbola. In a similar manner, foci of a hyperbola. The hyperbola has two foci, and their coordinates are fc and 0, negative c and 0. The equation, if you remark from the ellipse, is just only a difference. Here, over there it's minus in the ellipse, here it's plus. Center of hyperbola is the mid, the vertices, the transverse axis, the conjugate axis. I believe we are all set. This is the general equation for a parabola. Y equal to 2a squared plus b of x plus c. That's an equation of a parabola. In order to determine a parabola or to deal with a parabola, it's very, very simple. I would like you to put it on this form. So instead of dealing with this guy, try to make a completing square and put it on this form. Y minus e equal x minus d to the power of 2. So rearrange this equation. Make a completing square. Okay? And once you did the completing square in x يا ندى, try to put it in this form يا فاتن. Y minus e equal x minus d to the power of 2. لاحظي خلي بالك. وطبعا عشان يبقى الكلام جنرال خلي فيه هنا كي كونستانت، لان دايما هتحتاجي انك تاخدي كومن فاكتور. لو انا حبيت ارسم البارابولا دلوقتي اقدر اي بارابولا واتسو ايفر في اي مكان اعرف. بصوا هعمل ايه؟ I will go to the points D and E. D and E. So in the x-axis I will go to D. For the y-axis I will go to E. That's the vertex. يبقى انا كده جبت الفيرتكس. Second step على طول بعد ما حددت الفيرتكس. هو symmetric about مين؟ البارابولا ده symmetric about مين؟ أو بيبقى symmetric about الأكس اللي ملوش باور. يعني it is symmetric about the x with no square. If you look to this equation, it's symmetric about the y-axis. So it will be parallel to the y-axis. طيب is it looking upward ولا looking downward؟ أعرف منين؟ من الساين. The sign is positive as you can see. So it will be looking upward. This is the shape of this parabola. So if I want to graph this parabola, this is going to be the shape, and that's an example on a parabola. Please try to do what I told you about. Try to put it on a quadratic form. Do the completing square. You will be able to identify the vertex and the rest of the stuff. By the idea, all of this, you are not going to be asked directly about any of this. But all what we are going through right now, it will be your tools through the many steps in the problems down the road. So you by yourself, you need the points of intersection. Get the equation on the main form and start getting the intersection. If you want to see this equation as a parabola, in order to see what's going to develop if it is moving in 3 dimension or there is a revolution. So we'll have to find it first in 2 dimension. Then you do the revolution to get it as a surface. What's the time now, please?
10:30.
10?
30.
30? We still have till 12, so we are in revolution. Okay, now we are moving to another part, which is my favorite part. ركز بقى كده لان انا عايز اخلص من البارت ده بسرعه. خطير وده مهم. مش عارف اذا كنت انت خدته قبل كده. Okay, now I will talk about بص تحفه. Surfaces of second degree. بص
كمان مرة كده.
بص تاني فاتت بصي. لا انا طلع عيني في الالوان وانا من الراجل ما بحبش الالوان قوي يعني.
ده انتوا صارفين جامد يا دكتور السمستر ده.
انا صارف. I saved no effort يعني. اوكي ده هايبر بارابولويد اوف وان شيت. تعرف معادلته تعرف ترسمه. ده هايبر بارابولويد اوف تو شيت محبوب الجماهير. طبعا that's an ellipsoid. Special case from the ellipsoid بطيخه يعني. Okay, special case from the ellipsoid in the sphere. Let's go through them one by one. ما الليكتشر بتاعت النهارده دي انا عايزك تخرج منها معلم. اول equation it is the sphere. The equation of a sphere. طب بص مش اي معلم. لا انت معدي من الجزء اللي هتكلم فيه دلوقتي. ارجوك سيب السيلفون خالص يعني. equation of a sphere. خلي بالك لو انت فهمت ده كويس مش هتحتاج تراجعه تاني يا فريد. الاليبس الايكويشن بتاعت السفير هي بالظبط الايكويشن بتاعت السيركل. Do you remember the equation of a circle in 2 dimension? Yes, it's x minus alpha to the power of 2 over a squared plus y minus beta over a squared equal to 1. Because the circle has just only one radius. The sphere exactly the same. The center is gonna be ABC because we are in 3 dim. The radius will be r. So the equation will be x minus a to the power of 2, y minus b to the power of 2, z minus c to the power of 2 equal r squared. Where the center is A, B, C, and the radius is r. There is a tons of problems relative to sphere relation with planes and everything. It's not our nature. But just only we are passing through. That's the equation of the sphere, and that's also the general equation of a quadratic surface. If you look to the general equation of a quadratic surface, Ziad, لاحظ it is quadratics. It is a quadratic in x, y, and z. So if you look carefully, you will have elements in x square, y square, z square. And then elements in x, y multiplied in each other. X, z, y and z, then an element in x, element in y, element in z plus j, which is a bigger brother or sister from the two-dimension equation that we spoke about just in the previous slides about an ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola. Okay? But this equation actually can do a lot of things. Okay, the equation of the sphere, which is, as we saw previously, that's from your main slides in this one, which is the radius, and it has the center, which is h, k, and l. This is the equation, okay, in general, so nothing new. For the space in 3 dimension, and this is trivial with respect to you, I have the xy plane. This is the xy plane. This is the yz plane. This is the xz plane. Usually people will call this plane by 1, which is the xy plane. This is by 2, the y and z, which is called the by 2. And that's by 3, which is x and z. This is how the 3 dyne are named in most of the books. Not in Lisbon, but in general. Okay? Okay, that's the equation of the sphere. What if I want to expand it? If I want to have it explicitly, this is gonna be the shape. بص كده. يعني لو انا مديك equation x square y square z square negative 2ax negative 2by negative 2cz plus d equal to 0, I can identify the center. The center will be a b c directly. بصوا شايف انا عملت division negative 2 for the on the coefficients of x, y and z. بالذات لو equation, if your equation of a sphere doesn't contain x times z, x times y, y times z, which are the terms responsible about a rotation of your main axis with respect to the reference axis. Okay, شباب? Okay, really very good. Okay, also D will be a square, b square, c square minus r square. This is gonna help you to avoid completing the square in x and y and z. If you know this trick, it will help you out to avoid completing square in x, y and z عشان identify center. يعني مثلا بص على البروبلم دي كده. ها سيب القلم بص على دي كده. x square, y square, z square plus 6 of x minus 4y minus 4z equal to a. It's required to state the name of this shape, identify its main properties, which means center, radius, or two radiuses, eccentricities, blah 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 blah. If I look directly to this equation, I would discover that I don't have x times y, y times z, z times x, which means I can, and also I have the coefficient of x square, y square, z square, same sign, and they are all equal to 1. So 100% it's gonna be a circle. A sphere. How to get the center? فاتن, ازاي اجيب السنتر؟ I will have to get the x's both together and making a complete square. Y together making a complete square. That's a lot to do, صح؟ بس ممكن اعمل ايه؟ ممكن I will divide 6 by negative 2. لو عملت 6 on negative 2 السنتر يبقى بكام؟ coordinate يبقى بكام؟ 6 divided by negative 2. الريزلت تبقى بكام؟ negative 3 صح؟ لا فوق انت لسه قدامك بدري. يعني ده negative 3. طيب negative 4 and negative 2. negative 4 and negative 2. ده كده اسمه ايه؟ سنتر. طيب انا عايز اجيب الراديوس. اول حاجه هات ال8 دي يمين عشان تبقى نيجاتيف 8. اهو. That's the first step. بص كده. That's the first step. This is negative 2a, negative 2b, negative 2c. والدي اهي، يعني الايد ده لازم يجي اليماني. يعني ده معناه ان ده السنتر والدي بتساوي نيجاتيف 8. اهو انا كاتبهم لك اهو، حطيت لك اسهم. الحركه اللي بعديها الدي هي عباره عن a سكوير b سكوير c سكوير ماينس r سكوير. الدي اللي هي نيجاتيف 8. يبقى all I have to do is to make a substitution instead of a, b, c, and I will have a which is equal to negative 8. Then I will get the radius which is r. That's the equation of the sphere. Away from completing square. فاهمني يا جميل؟ حلو جدا. That's enough for a sphere, for the main equation and how to get the center, radius and everything. Okay. Quadratic surfaces and conicoid. Any surface which is represented by an equation of second degree بلا بلا بلا. احنا عارفين الكلام ده خلاص اقلبه. السفير خلاص عرفناها. الشكل اللي قدامك ده ثابت. لا لا. بص لي على الايكويشن دي تنفع ايه؟ سفير. ليه؟ ليه سفير؟ ليه مش إليبس؟
عشان ايه والبي والسي زي
equal to each other صح؟ يبقى that's a sphere والراديوس بكام؟ 4 والسنتر بزيرو. 0 0. يبقى السنتر 0 0 0 والراديوس بيساوي 4. يس يو ار رايت. طيب ده الايكويشن. الفكره ده شكلها بالفعل. يعني دي شكلها في ال 3 دايم. في ال 3 دايمنشن ده شكلها. بص الحركه دي برضو اهو. ده لو انا غيرت الكاميرا، لو انا طلعت فوق وبصيت عليه ماشي؟
هو ايه
طيب.
لازمة
هو
ايه لازمة الفلات بلين؟
عشان بس البلانز دي انت مش هتستخدميها في الرسم بتاعك، بس انا علشان اوريلك موقعها بالنسبه للبلانات الاساسيه اللي هي الباي 1 والباي 2 والباي 3. اوكي؟ طيب ده شكل السفير ان جنرال، بس هنا السنتر بتاعها 4 و 3 و 2. هنا السنتر 4 3 2، وطبعا الراديوس بتاعها بيساوي 4. ده شكلها. بصوا ده كاميرا، يعني لقطه بالكاميرا دي. بص ده شكلها من فوق. شايف برضو مترحله ازاي؟ ده معناه ان السنتر مترحل معايا. ده الشكل بتاعها، وده برضو نظره ثانيه من كاميرا بشكل اخر. طيب ايه هو التريس اوف ا سيرفيس؟ التريس اوف ا سيرفيس if I cut this circle with a specific surface. ايه الشيب اللي هيخرج؟ يعني مثلا على سبيل المثال خليني ارجع كده. بصوا على الايكويشن دي يا ولاد. حلوه صح؟ بنت حلال. يا ترى لو انا قطعتها عايز اعرف الانترسكشن بينها وبين باي 1. مين باي 1؟ مين باي 1؟ انا قلت لك مين باي 1. الاكس والواي. طب والايكويشن بتاع الاكس واي بايه؟ زد ايكوال تو 0. يعني الايكويشن بتاع اكس وواي بلان زد ايكوال تو 0. فريد انا عايز اعرف الكروس سكشن اللي بين باي 1 وبين السفير دي. اعرفه ازاي؟ كل اللي انا هعمله يا فريد هروح جاي هنا اهو. بص يا فريد، شايل الزد دي وحاطط مكانها كام؟
0.
احط 0 يبقى ده اصبح بزيرو. 0 minus 2 بنيجاتيف 2 to the power of 2 ب 4 over 16 1 quarter. 1 quarter I will move it to the other side. يعني